Hey y'all, it's Jennifer. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with my yearly favorites thus far. And so this is nothing bookish. I did this at the end of last year and I really loved it. So this is basically just television series, films, movies, things that I've been really enjoying in the first 6 months of the year that are not bookish. One of these is so random, but I need to talk about it. I just started this recently and I want to recommend it to you if you don't have one. This is like a shampoo brush and you use it in the shower. When you shampoo your hair, you get this and like rub your shampoo all over your head. And it's so great because it really exfoliates your scalp, which is great this time of year when you're sweating more than normal here in the Northern Hemisphere. But it also kind of stimulates blood flow. It's a really fun little tool. One thing I will say, if you're like me and you have semi-curly hair, this is gonna tangle. This is really gonna tangle your hair, but it's also so much fun when you put your conditioner in and you can use this to like brush your conditioner through your hair. I love these. I really, really love these. Hand in hand with that, this is a hair mask by L'Oreal Elvive. I don't really know what it's called. I guess it's just damage erasing balm, a rinse out mask. I have been using this in place of my conditioner. Love it. And I've been noticing a big difference in my hair. It's really great this time of year again, when you live in a very humid place. This kind of helps tame that frizz for you. And so this is one of my favorites of the year so far. This is the first and only hair mask that I have ever tried, so I can't comment on the efficacy of it versus other hair masks. I've just never tried other hair masks, and so I would love to try more, but I love this and it smells so good. One of my favorite things also so far this year, and I'm not there. If I was smart, I would have filmed it in front of this area, but I redid my desk area, my craft and semi-home office area this year. I got a really nice L desk. I got a monitor stand. I got an IKEA pegboard that I've wanted for so long. And I just really love that space. It now is really enjoyable to spend time at my desk in a way that it wasn't, in a way that it was not last year this time. So that's definitely been one of my favorite things so far this year. I have really loved my new desk area, and I think that'll be true for me at the end of the year. I'll be interested to see how many of these favorite things are the same things that I'll mention in 6 months at the end of the year, if anything will remain the same. I definitely think my desk area is going to be a yearly favorite. My favorite thing in terms of crafting has been my K-pop journal, and I say that like there's only one. I technically have, I think, 5 different K-pop journals at this point, and it might be more than that. But this was my original one, and you can see it's really, really full. I just find it unwieldy now, so I don't really use this one nearly as much because it's getting so thick. So it's getting really hard to journal on the pages. But this was what I did last year, and this is what I have done so far this year. And it's just been so much fun to have a space just to journal your thoughts, listen to happy music, and just have a fun time collaging, gluing things down. This is my favorite page. This right here is my favorite page. I wouldn't even write on it because I thought it turned out so pretty. And so I really enjoyed this. This is so relaxing. In fact, I'll do this at night now. I used to not craft at all at night, but now it's a nice way to kind of end my day, just to sit down and collage. And so I've really thoroughly enjoyed this. This is definitely my favorite thing of the year, I think, really. It has just been K-pop journaling, and my hand lettering, it's getting good. Your hand lettering is something that you really have to work on, I found, and I really instantly want to be good at things, and I don't want to put the practice in and I don't want to put the time in, but I have really noticed a difference in my hand lettering as the months have gone on, and I'm very, very proud of it. Actually, this is my favorite page. It's my favorite page. I love it. And so that's definitely one of my favorite things of the year so far. I'm probably going to just retire this journal and move into a different one very, very soon. But this has just been an absolute delight. It's been a great way to spend time this year. Okay, let's get into films and television series. I say films and television series, but I have not seen a single film that I feel like discussing here. I have not seen a film that I feel like is a new favorite for me or is even a favorite of the year. I've watched several things that came out this year, but I haven't felt passionately about any of them. For example, I saw the Robert Pattinson Batman. It was fine. I really, in the end, I guess, don't truly care for Batman. I guess I'm not really a Batman girl, but I saw that. I saw Uncharted with Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland in it. Once again, that was fine. I'm not seeing Doctor Strange 2 because I can't even finish Doctor Strange 1. I don't like Doctor Strange. And so I want to watch Doctor Strange 2 for my girl Wanda, but it's on the radar. We'll watch it. It's up on the docket at some point. But I've been really disappointed in the Marvel shows this year. In truth, looking back, the Marvel shows last year were a disappointment to me. I don't even know what films are coming out in the second half of the year. I've not seen Jurassic Park though, and I feel like that's gonna be good. And I also really am just dying to see that Elvis biopic. I know it's gonna blow me away. I'm excited about it, okay? I love Baz Luhrmann. I love Baz Luhrmann. I appreciate anybody who takes a risk and who commits to an aesthetic. And I think Baz Luhrmann does that. So I have high hopes for that. But so far, really no films that I have to talk about. Hopefully that will change when we get to the end of the year. Hopefully I'll have seen something that was good. In terms of TV, I have a few things that are my favorites so far this year. My favorite show of the year so far is a show that I am currently still watching. I have not finished this. And so when I finish it this week, it very well may go down or it may remain my favorite show of the year. We don't know. But everyone is happy right now in the episode that I'm on, and so I'm scared. I know things are gonna change. But this show is Tale of the Nine-Tailed. It is a K-drama, and it is about a guy who is a nine-tailed fox, a gumiho, which is big in Korean mythology. And it's a love story, but it's just basically like a fantasy drama. The shades in this show of the Vampire Diaries are insane. If you love the Vampire Diaries, watch this. Two brothers who kind of hate each other, but kind of love each other too. The vibe. That is the trope. I have discovered it. This is my favorite trope in any form of media. Books, television, film. Give me two brothers who hate each other but also love each other. That's all I want. I want complicated brotherly dynamics. I want Thor and Loki. I want Damon and Stefan. I want Lee Yan and Lee Rang all the time. We need this in more fiction and in more dramas. That's my opinion. This one is so good because the cast just eats this up. I mean, every day they come into set. Lee Rang, my favorite character, he's kind of the troublesome brother. He's a little bit the Loki figure, let's say. Frankly, Loki walked so that Lee Rang can run. But this dude comes onto set every day. They must have given him the script and he was like, well, it's time for me to roll out an Oscar award-winning performance. Every single episode, he blows me away. And it's not like big emotions. He'll just be sitting there doing something very slight and it is amazing. There is one scene where his brother says something to him like, oh, I regret helping you. I regret saving you or something like that. And you just see him start to shake with rage. It was insane. It was just insane. What a performance. He's not the only one. The entire cast is great. The plot is so good. So many different things are going on at one time and all of them are interesting. And so I'm worried because I've only got 4 episodes left of this show. I'm worried. They have renewed it for 2 more seasons, but they are going to be historical dramas because gumihos are like immortal. And so they've been alive for 600-700 years at this point. I think I'm really gonna love the period piece aspect of it, but I'm worried because it means they can kill anybody in the now. But if you are looking for a recommendation from me for a TV show, watch this one. I mean, I'm serious, watch this one. This show has also made me believe in romance. Like, I'm not really a romance girly, you know, even in real life. But this show has made me a romance girly. There is a scene where Leon, the main character, and our female lead, who is the romantic heroine as well. They are walking outside and it's raining and he's holding an umbrella and he shifts the umbrella so that it's over her completely and this side of him gets wet, you know, gets rain on it. It was so cute. I mean, it was so cute. I just could not anymore. We all deserve a Leon. We all deserve a Leon. Don't lower your standards until you get somebody like Leon in your life. This show is great. I don't really see how the ending is going to disappoint me, but I feel sure some folks are gonna die. And so I need to get mentally prepared for that. And I also need to get mentally prepared for the fact that I'm gonna go into a show hole after this, be in depression. You know, some shows you finish and you're like, wow, I'll never watch or see anything else like that ever again. Some shows you finish and it's hard to fill that void. Tale of the Nine-Tailed is going to be one of those for me. My other favorite show of the year is Tokyo Vice, which is completely different in tone to Tale of the Nine-Tailed. Tale of the Nine-Tailed is fantasy and fun, but it is also dealing with some deep things going on. Tokyo Vice is very dark. Tokyo Vice is about an American who lives in Tokyo who starts to work for Tokyo's largest newspaper, and he inadvertently kind of gets involved with the Yakuza, and he covers kind of the gang's goings on in the newspaper. We don't even need to talk about the main character though. The only character you need to know about is a guy called Sato, and he is played to perfection by Sho Kasamatsu, who is my big crush of the year. Honestly, my biggest crush of the year is Sho Kasamatsu as Sato. I love this so much. Another of my favorite tropes of all time is a guy who is in too deep, in with the bad guys a little bit too deep, but still has kind of a heart of gold, still feels the inclination to do good things, but knows that he's in deep and knows that he's into bad stuff. And that's definitely what this character is. It is so good. Tokyo Vice in many ways is playing with very familiar tropes from old gangster films and also from kind of like, I would say, maybe the Cold War political era films. And so it's very, very smart in what it does and how it pivots character dynamics. It is so much fun and it's also very nostalgic for that reason. This is another show where people came in every day and decided to give an award-winning performance. Sho Kasamatsu, most definitely. It's not fun in the same way as Tale of the Nine-Tailed, but this is also one that I would highly recommend. Of the two, I would say go for Tale of the Nine-Tailed if you are really a character-driven person, if you really want to be attached to the characters. That's Tale of the Nine-Tailed. If you want some intrigue and stuff to figure out, watch Tokyo Vice. Another of my favorites of the year is another K-drama, All of Us Are Dead, which is about zombies, and it's specifically about a group of high schoolers trapped in their high school when the zombie apocalypse happens. This show is so addictive, I'll say. I don't think the show on an objective level is that good. I don't think it's that well written. Characters act so ridiculously throughout this show that you almost can't take it seriously, because really, what are the odds that every single person in a show will make a stupid decision? But that's what happens in All of Us Are Dead. Every single character makes a stupid decision. But in the end, you care for them so much and you are so into the show. Like, it's one that I felt like I need to keep watching this. How many more episodes can I watch tonight? Oh, as soon as I get home from work tomorrow, I'm gonna start watching All of Us Are Dead. It's so addictive in that way, but then I really eat up a zombie show. I really like zombie shows, and so this one just strikes a lot of personal marks for me. It's a show that's quite a bit of fun, but I struggle to recommend it. I hesitate to recommend it because the characters act so silly and ridiculous throughout this show, and some of them you're just rooting for to die. You're just like, when will it happen to you? When will it happen to you? And 9 times out of 10, they are the characters that survive, and the ones that you loved are the ones that died. That's the way it goes with zombie media. Am I right? I did want to talk about, very briefly, I wanted to talk about Vikings Valhalla, which came out in February on Netflix and is what they talk about as a sequel series to History Channel's Vikings. And you all know Vikings is basically my favorite television show ever. I love Vikings, and my expectations for this were very, very low. The show is okay. It's fine. Vikings Valhalla takes place 100 years after the end of Vikings, the History Channel Vikings. And so it's basically now in the lead up to the Battle of Hastings, I would say. And this is one where the timeline has been crunched in all sorts of different ways, in my opinion. And it doesn't bother me in the original show Vikings at all that they did this, because I think they were so focused on the characters that it didn't matter. The historical inaccuracies just did not register to me because I cared so much for the characters. This is one that just felt like they were trying to do too much at one time. I think Vikings Valhalla, they know they have 3 seasons and they know they have a set number of episodes. And so they are trying to cover a lot of ground very, very quickly. And I think it shows. Do I recommend this? I would say it is my least favorite of the 3 big Viking shows that we have. Vikings, The Last Kingdom, and now Vikings Valhalla. The Last Kingdom is still probably on an objective level the best. But I have such a fondness for History Channel's Vikings that I think if they had never mentioned that Vikings Valhalla was related to the original Vikings, I would have enjoyed it far more. I mean, definitely I would have. But because they wanted to tie it into that show, I kept comparing it to that show. Vikings Valhalla is just a historical show. It's just an adventure show, let's say. I think History Channel Vikings was really cerebral and supernatural in places, and it was so interesting. The tone of Vikings was so unique to it as a show, and I don't know what the tone of Vikings Valhalla is. The tone of Vikings was about death, the inevitability of death, and death on both sides of the equation. Old Norse Viking and Christian Saxon for the most part, and it was about the inevitability of death, embracing death, the afterlife, what you were going to do in the afterlife, the hunger for the afterlife that the Old Norse Viking religion encourages in you, the hunger for heaven that Christianity, medieval Christianity, created in the Saxons. There was such a beautiful, beautiful undertone of religion and death throughout the original Viking series. And I don't know what the tone of Vikings Valhalla is. I don't know if they're going to go for anything like that, but I definitely feel like Vikings had its tone nailed down very, very early on. I'm definitely going to carry on with this show. Again, I just wish it was a separate thing. I don't feel the connection to the characters that I instantaneously did for the characters on The Last Kingdom or on Vikings. And so this is probably my least favorite of those big 3, but I'm definitely going to continue watching it. And I watched it very, very quickly. It seems like in a few days I had binge watched this. In terms of series that I am going to start very soon, up on the docket for me is Vincenzo, which is a K-drama about a Korean guy who was adopted by a member of the Italian mafia. And so it is a show about the Italian mafia in Korea. Did they make that show with me in mind? Did they? I feel like they did. So that's definitely up on the docket for me. I also want to try Money Heist Korea, the Korean Money Heist. I didn't really like the original Money Heist, and I didn't finish the first season. And so I'm excited about the Korean Money Heist, even if it's the exact same story, since I didn't finish the first season. But my queen, Yeonjin Kim, is in this. So I am really excited to see her in something. I haven't watched anything with her in it really since Lost, but I loved her on Lost so much. I can't wait to watch this show. I also want to watch the Time Traveler's Wife series. Have any of y'all watched that? Because I love Theo James, and I'm excited about it. The Time Traveler's Wife used to be one of my favorite books of all time, and so I'm interested to see how they do it. I've always had the sense that as a book, that one would fall quite a bit for me on reread. But those are 3 shows that I'm really excited to start, hopefully very soon. Next up, let's talk about music. Sorry, I've turned on my iPad, so I look like a ghost. I look like I'm coming to you from the beyond. But a storm is also rolling up, because that always happens when I sit down to film. In terms of music, I thought Spotify was going to do kind of a mid-year check-in thing. Normally at the end of the year, Spotify does a Spotify Wrapped, and they tell you your most listened to genres. They tell you the top songs of the year that you listened to. But last year they did something in June about midway through the year, and I thought they were going to do that again this year. They didn't. And I said last year when I filmed this video for the end of 2021 that I don't feel as though Spotify knows me very well. I don't think Spotify understands my musical taste very well. And now I think they do. I made a concerted effort when we went into the new year to basically use Spotify only when I am listening to music to see if they will start recommending me other music that I might like. And I do think that it has worked out for the most part. And so I got on Receiptify, which is something that will kind of compile for you your most listened to songs on any of your music listening platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, whatever. And they will tell you your top 10 for the past month or the past 6 months. And so for the past 6 months, I have my Receiptify here, which I know you cannot see. My most listened to song for the past 6 months was Charmer by Stray Kids. And Stray Kids is a K-pop group. I really love Stray Kids. I wouldn't say that they're like in my top 3, but they are definitely in my top 5. And so I love Stray Kids. They had a new album come out earlier this year with a lot of bangers on it. But definitely Charmer is my most listened to song. I am not shocked by that. If you want to try Stray Kids, here is a little bit of advice. When I first started listening to them, I didn't think I liked them, and I think that's the initial reaction you have to their music. Their music can kind of sound like noise a little bit the first time that you hear it. So I suggest that you listen to one of their songs a couple of times before you make a judgment on it, and always get to the end. I feel like they really wait to the last 30 seconds to just amp up the hype or just amp up the bass, something. The last 30 seconds of all of their songs are easily the best part of the songs. And so if you want to try Stray Kids, that's my advice to you. My second most listened to song this year is Borderline by EXO-SC. EXO-SC is the rap subgroup of EXO, who is my favorite K-pop group. So this is just 2 members of the group, Sehun and Chanyeol, who are the rappers. Borderline is possibly not only one of my favorite K-pop songs, it's just one of my favorite songs I've ever heard. This song is basically about being friend-zoned. And who would friend-zone either one of these 2 guys? That's beyond me. I don't know. But this song has just such a tone of melancholy. It's so good. It is just so good. I love all songs that sound like this. To me, this is tonally very similar to groups like The Neighborhood, but also to someone like Black Bear. And The Neighborhood and Black Bear are 2 of my most listened to artists every single year. I just love the tone of their music. Borderline hits that vibe for me, and so that's one that also doesn't shock me. My third most listened to song this year is This Could Be Us. Can you tell? Can you tell that I've been on TikTok watching fan edits? Can you tell? Number 4, Coco Bop by EXO, my absolute favorite K-pop song. The summer vibes are immaculate. Listen to that this summer if you want some fun summery vibes. Feel It by Confetti. Confetti is one of my favorite groups. They're a little bit of an indie band and they're very small, and I'm always shocked that they don't have more popularity. They were my most listened to group last year, and I think they'll probably be one of my most listened to groups this year as well. Overdose by EXO. Someone Call the Doctor. I can almost do the choreography in my sleep. Like, I just see it whenever I hear that song. That song is so catchy. That song is so catchy. That's one of my favorite songs of theirs. Lit by Oneus. Oneus is my second favorite K-pop group. And Lit is such a good song. Lit has like this really beautiful fluty quality to it. I'll link to some of these down below if you want to try them, but I love Lit. Love Shot by EXO. Who's shocked? Not me. And then rounding out the top 10, I have Fever by Enhypen, and they are another K-pop group. Fever is tonally very similar to Borderline by EXO-SC. It also feels very Neighborhood, very Black Bear, just very sensual and also very slow, melancholy, kind of the vibe of the beats. So those are my top songs of the past 6 months. My top songs of the past month, though, are still Lit by Oneus, Firebomb by Oneus. Oh, that's such a good song. That is such a good song. That's gonna be on my top songs of the year, definitely. Love that. Hijack by Woods. Woods is a Korean solo artist. He's really, really talented. Heaven by Taemin. Oh my gosh. Taemin, I love Taemin with my whole heart. Heaven by Taemin literally makes you feel like you were in those cathedrals that are just dripping with gold, that have those frescoes on the ceiling of cherubs floating around. Like, Heaven is so Baroque. Frankly, Taemin is very Baroque, very Renaissance. And I just love his vibe. So that's definitely, that'll be on my top 10 of the year, I think. She's the Boss by The Boys. I love The Boys, another K-pop group, sad to say. Collide by Justine Skye. Once again, can you tell I've been on TikTok watching fan edits? Rocky by ATEEZ. Basquiat by Pentagon. This song, this is one that really amps you up. When I heard this for the first time, I almost cried. Like, I have this thing, this is a weird thing, and I'll tell it to you. I am very moved when a big group of people all does the same thing. And that can be like you're at a sporting event and everyone sings the national anthem. It can be when people dance, like synchronized dancing. It can be the part of a musical where everyone comes together and sings the final number. This has kind of a chant to it. Chants specifically get me. And this song has a chant in it, and it is so good. It raises the hairs on my arm every time I hear it. I'll link to this one down below because it is so good. The specific instance that I think of all the time when I think of things that I love, where a big group of people all do the same thing, is The Dark Knight Rises. So the third Batman movie in Christian Bale's trilogy, and he is in the prison where he has to climb out of the tower. And every time somebody attempts to climb out of the tower, all of the other prisoners will chant. That's it. That's the moment. That's just a weird fact about me for you. I love when a big group of people all do the same thing. And Basquiat by Pentagon is just one of those really exquisite moments. So those are some of my favorite things that I have been listening to and watching so far this year. Once again, I'll be curious to see if any of them remain on my favorites list at the end of the year. But I would love to know down below what you've been listening to, what you have been watching. But that's going to be all for me today. I hope you're all having a great week. Happy reading. Goodbye.